Hello, hello, internets. Time for another summer school. Okay, today we're going to work on top lane. Top lane is a lot of fun. You learn how to lane best in top lane. I'm going to run a game that I played on Yorick. I don't know why Yorick was so universally abandoned. Like 6 months ago, I'm kind of glad that he is, because people have sort of forgotten how to deal with them. And I've been winning games purely on that alone. I'm still not the greatest top lane. I can more hold the role than absolutely crush it. But that's fine as long as you can keep yourself farmed. You can deal the damage to the enemy team, and you can prevent your opponent from getting fed. That's enough to get by. If you can get fed and you can really impact the game by ganking mid a bunch and rooting their jungler's life by invading red and golems, then great. But that's not something I can generally do. All I really do with Yorick, and I don't play much top beyond Yorick and Mundo, and they both kind of serve the same role. They're both hard to kill. They can, well, Yorick bullies lanes better than Mundo. Mundo more holds the lane and doesn't die. It's probably a better way to put it. There are people I can definitely wildly abuse with Yorick that I can't with Mundo, which is definitely a good thing. I like the fact that they can both sort of sit at the front of a team fight and really impact. Well, I mean, get in people's faces. Drop a little bit of harass, constantly threaten, keep the enemy teams on their toes. They both somewhat lack CC, but what they lack in CC, they make up for in tankiness and sustainability. They both have some lane sustain, and they can both split push fairly effectively. Yorick more with the amount of damage that he can do to turrets. And Mundo with the fact that you can't really chase him down very well. Yorick you can. Yorick you have to play much smarter than you do with Mundo. Mundo is more forgiving of mistakes. So, a lot of games, if you're going to play Yorick, and I guess I'll teach based on that, a lot of lane matchups you're going to end up winning and pushing the enemy team or the enemy opponent into their turret. So you're going to be sitting right around here for a lot of the lane. Warding with this champion is really fucking important. It's not important, it's essential. You have to. If one of the things that Yorick does well is draw pressure to his lane, and this game sort of reflects that really well. I'm pretty sure their jungler was top so much. I don't know if he ganked middle or bottom at all. I'm going to watch him a little bit more carefully this time around. I already watched this replay once to see whether or not he actually does, but I know he was top lane so much that he couldn't have been mid or bot lane much. I know that our Vayne got wildly fed, and that was in part to the fact that there was no pressure being drawn bot because so much of it was being drawn top. And mostly I stayed away by warding effectively. A couple times I just turned around and engaged on a weak jungler because I had an advantage on our laner being weak, or the person I was fighting against being weak, so that's something I can abuse. And I had a 2-level advantage when he came in for the kill, so I just turned around and tried to take him down. What else can I do? So warding is wildly important. I'm gonna say it a couple times throughout this video that your opponent is going to almost be your indication as to whether or not something horrible is going to be happening, and that's actually not going to hold true for the entirety of you playing this game. I know myself, when I see a jungler coming in for the kill, I try not to give any indication that something's changed, whereas you'll see a lot of people, like, for example, I forced this Shyvana into a very passive situation, where all she can really do is grab farm at the closest spot. Now, I'll stop on that, and I'll refocus on winning how I won this early on. Although I'm Yorick, so that's why. But essentially, I try not to miss a single farm. Farming is really important. You'll even see good top laners that you're fighting try to engage you as you're going into farm. Like they'll literally start closing the gap, looking like they're gonna try and harass you as the minions are low. So farming is more of a priority than harassing is. So if you're not if you're not 100%, like if your harassing is gonna reduce your farming income by 50%, it's not worth it. Just focus more on the farm and staying alive in the lane. I mean, still try and land the harass when you can, but it's something that is not going to develop instantly. Like the farming almost has to be second nature before you can start finding gaps in the farming to harass effectively. So again, focus on the farm, because a kill, I mean, kill's only 300 gold, and that's what 3 minion waves, 20 gold each, or the front's 20, the back's 15, we'll say. So that's 60 plus, so that's 3 waves. All you need is 3 waves to equal a kill at the early level, at the very least. So you miss the equivalent of 3 waves harassing, and you've literally just given an advantage to the enemy opponent. So getting the gold and the experience is priority. You wanna focus on that. Now that being said, let's focus on how to harass effectively. Now, I have to manage my mana when I'm fighting a Shyvana, because obviously she's manaless, and a good Shyvana will recognize that you're a and then try and take advantage of that. Like right now, it looks like I've got a huge advantage. If I had Ignite, this would be an easy kill, but I don't. All I've really got is, I'm gonna have 1 spell, give or take. So it's not a spot that I want to be throwing down in if I have the option to not. I mean, she's not going to want, also at low health, to be extending much beyond the lane. Unless she's warded, it's just a bad feeling. I mean, you've been there. You don't want to be in the lane with that low health. So I've got the option to just back off, let the lane push, get the free farm and the free experience, and force her to make a decision. So right now I'm still not all that worried about getting ganked. If it was going to come, it would have came by now. Also, Rengar's not going to make the attempt all on his own. He's going to wait for Shyvana. And also I can see Fizz in mid right now, so I'm completely safe to just stay and keep farming. I can't beat Shyvana outright right now, but that's okay. I mean, sticking around in lane for the little extra bit of time, look how much health she has now. Whereas I can now go back, teleport back into the lane, and I walk in with a free advantage. I've always loved doing that, is just doing as much damage as you can safely before you go back and teleport back to lane. Because again, it's all free. It's all free. Like it's free lost health, it's free lost mana. It's all coming back anyways, so. And look, now she has to go back again. And like, yes, the lane's pushed, and like she's not gonna lose a tower, but she's losing farm, she's losing experience, and it costs her in the end. I completely won the lane at this point, just by trading effectively. All I have to worry about at this point is ganks. So, I'll go over this point, if you're going to play Yorick, who he's good against. And that's any melee, well, even ranged for that matter. Anyone that lacks sustain, that doesn't have a significant amount of burst. Like, for example, Akali isn't the greatest matchup. I can win the lane early and still lose it to her, just for the simple fact that she can kind of burst me from 100 to 0, and I generally run teleport, and she'll generally run Ignite. And that's all you really have to worry about is heavy bursters that, I mean, even have a bit of an escape. Like Akali's invisibility was kind of what saved her, and that was somewhat my own stupidity for not buying a pink ward. It's one of those things that it's almost like when you forget a trinket once, you forget it 7 times. Like I would think about it in the middle of the lane that I need to buy a pink ward on the way back, and I go back and I'd buy, and I'd teleport back to lane, and then kick myself for forgetting the ward and not bringing it back. But that's just something that, like, I will eventually start remembering to do it. And you might not do it the first time, you might not do it the 5th time, but as long as you eventually incorporate that into your overall, the habits that you have in the game, you'll do fine. It's a good. So Rengar's coming in for a gank. I don't see it. I don't. I'm totally tunnel visioned on the lane. It's still a bad thing. It's something I'm bad at, is mid and top. If I had the option, I would have been backed off more towards here. But I noticed that he's low. He's at 75% health, and he's level 5. Between my minions and my ultimate, they can't actually hurt me all that much. So I just turned around and killed her. And that's not always an option. That hasn't actually happened a whole bunch since I've hit Platinum. They're just smarter people. A smarter Rengar may have not even attempted that. Probably wouldn't have attempted that. So at this point, I've won the lane. Now, what I want to use as an indication to check my ward. I mean, I always try to glance at the minimap every chance I get. And it's a good habit to develop. Anytime there's not a last hit that you're trying to time, you should be glancing at the minimap. Or at the very least, like position your, I know my face is right here right now, but position your camera so you can basically still lane effectively, but also see a gank kind of coming in. Like, this is a bit of an awkward place to keep the screen, but you're not going to miss Rengar coming through this bush. Never in a million years, like as I just demonstrated. So when I rewatched this, I was actually a little disappointed that I didn't just turn on a Cal. I didn't have, shyvana. I didn't have my ultimate, which was a bit of a deciding factor, because that, even if I fuck up on the engagement, I get like a second chance to kind of make up for it. But I had flash up, and I chose to just run away with it. I could have kind of turned into Shyvana, and even landing an ability, like one single ability, my E or my Q. My W doesn't really do damage, but either one of those, and she would have been in a spot that she's not sticking around on the fight anymore, and then all I've got to deal with is a level 6 Rengar. If I had more mana, that would have made it a very easy decision, and that was probably one reason why I think I was skittish. I don't remember my exact thought process there, but I was not feeling the engagement at that point, as where, you know, he walked in before level 5. It was quite obvious that I should be trying to kill him.
Blue team double kill.
Now, I just saw Rengar walk into that bush, and this is more my experience from jungling, where I've done this a whole bunch of times, but I'm not buying that he just wandered out of the lane. Like, if you're gonna leave the lane, he would have gone this way. Totally would have gone this way. And as a side note, this is also a nice trick that I like doing as jungle. If you're about to go back and you're in top lane anyways, walk into the bush and then you go back. Because they have no idea when, if you went back or if you're camping them, you're literally buying free time for your lane. So that being said, I'm just playing this skittish. I mean, even that one minion, I didn't want to go out much further to grab him. And again, I wasn't 100% sure he was there, but I was pretty sure. I know that I wasn't going to overextend that fight for much time. But I also like wasting the jungler's time, so that was kind of like, how long do I want him to stay here for? Which kind of sucks because he stole blue after, but such is life. I think I literally told Utter in the call that, or in the game, that there's no need to ever come top lane. In total and complete control. I'll say that sometimes just so we can totally drill on mid and top lane. Also, once you discourage the jungler enough, I remember at this point in the game I was fairly confident Rengar had given up on my lane, and I wasn't going to see him again. That will happen. You'll just discourage their jungler to the point so much trying to gank your lane that they'll never make another attempt. Cat pinged that the fizz was missing, but a quick glance at the minimap told me that he was bot lane, so I could keep going. So again, I'm going to use Shyvana to telegraph when a gank could potentially be coming, but I don't think one does anymore at this point. But I just want to drill that point home, that your opponents will let you know when the ganks are coming sometimes. Bot lane, it's a lot more obvious, just because there's two people and they both dive in at a strange time. I mean, I'm also speaking at a point where, you know, I play a lot of Zillion and Vel'Koz's bottom, where we've been abusing them, and they're typically at a lower health than we are, not a stage where they want to engage. So when people start closing the gap and all of a sudden want to pick a fight, if it doesn't make sense, they get the fuck out. Either they're bad, and they're choosing a poor time to do it, and they're going to do it again, and you can abuse it then. Like, wait to figure out whether or not they're actually engaging with their jungler, but like, give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that they're good, and that they are initiating with the jungle, and get the fuck out. You know, it's like a Thresh of Vayne that you've been beating up for 5 minutes, and they're both at 50%. Then all of a sudden, Thresh starts beelining straight at your ADC, and Vayne starts running straight at your ADC, and you've been zoning Vayne the entire time. You've been making Vayne scared of your abilities, but all of a sudden she's not scared. There's a reason for that, because the gank is coming, they have an advantage. That's saving me more and more the more I listen to it, and it's a hard scale to develop. Like, it's hard to back off. I mean, I don't know how to explain this. It's like almost like they're challenging you, and the man in you wants to turn around and say, "Fuck you! I'm a man. I stand my ground." But you don't want to play this game like a man. You want to play it like a fuck. I don't even know. You want to play it like a monkey fighting a tiger. I don't know if you ever seen that video of that. What was it? A marmoset or something like that that's running around and slapping tigers in the face and then running back into the tree. He's not winning by brute strength, he's winning through intelligence, and that is how you have to fight this game. You have to be the smarter man. Be willing to, you know, back off and suck it up and not be manly, I guess, is my point. Yeah. Yeah, there's a point in there somewhere. There's something useful said there, right? Right? That wasn't a crazy person rant. I almost want to fast forward this now, because there's not much more to be seen in this lane. I just keep beating up shyvana. She tries to defend the turret, I kill her under it, and take it. Maybe we'll move into mid to late game. I don't do a lot of roaming in this. Whenever the lanes is pushed, I do try and run mid a lot, but maybe again I was tunnel visioning this game, and I just didn't do that. It's a great habit to have, but sometimes I fall back into old habits and just smash the lane. Smash the lane or take the turret. Wanted to keep going on that, but after she flashes, after anyone flashes in general, that's almost an indication to me to back off, unless I want to flash after it. I don't want to flash after her on a turret. I don't have sight in the jungle. I knew that I didn't have sight beyond this point. I was pretty sure the gank wasn't coming, but it's not an overextension that you want to make, because again, I'm giving up. Like, I'll give her a level with that, I'll give her a lot of gold that she's missed out on in farm, and I'll give away a very large advantage that I've been working very hard for the entire game. That's the shitty part about playing someone like Yorick, or even harassing champions in general, is you work for 5 minutes to get someone to a certain point, and then they just do sort of an all-in smash shift, holding down all their abilities on your face with the jungler, and then it all goes to shit. Literally all your hard work goes right up in smoke. So so for that reason, I do like harassing champions, because I have the option to play smart and to back off and to take advantage of constantly take advantage in situations where with all-in champions you lose early and that is it. You have to wait for them. You have no more options. Sit back and roll. That is all. I mean, you can try and not do that. Maybe the person you're playing isn't, you know, 100%, they're not building properly. Or there are exceptions to every rule, but most of the time it's true. As a top laner, when it comes to team fighting, I like going deep and getting into people's faces, as long as I know my team's fighting properly. If they're playing scared, it's a different scenario, where I want to be more intelligent about how I engage the enemy team, or whether or not I engage them at all. Like, there are scenarios where it's not even a safe spot to harass, even as a fed Yorick with my team, because I know that, you know, like if they have a Blitzcrank who's landing money pulls, or they've got a super tanky jungler or bottom like a Braum who can just walk into the enemy team and there's not much I can do to stop him. Like Yorick's got the 1W slow, and that's all the CC. So getting locked down in a spot like that, when it depends on the team, is basically what I'm saying, that you're fighting. You have to be somewhat careful when it comes to harassing champions that don't have gap closers and somewhat lack in CC. But I'm forgetting the original point that I was trying to make. So we'll just abandon it and move on. That's how you do that. This is a spot, I did a quick count, it was 3-on-3. I knew I came in from top, so there wasn't going to be any help coming in there. I saw shyvana on the map, and I knew it was a great spot to initiate. And you always want to be looking for opportunities like that. And you gotta be careful with it too, because if, you know, like, Rengar happened to be hiding in the bush, and I was wrong about him being bot lane, which I wasn't because he was farming because he's an idiot, that would have turned around, would have potentially turned around. It depends on how much damage everyone's doing, how much gold they have. But, yeah. So Rengar goes to push bottom lane for whatever reason, and we take mid. That's an awesome trade. It's tempting to go and chase him away from that turret, but the smart move is just keep moving. When you see turret scenarios happening like that, if you happen to be close to one, and there's going to be a point later in this game that I can illustrate where that was not the right decision. You almost want to make a judgment call as to whether or not you want to keep pushing the lane and going for the turret, or go join the team. And it's almost based on how long, if a team fight kicks off, by the time I get there, is there going to be something that I can do? Has my team been fighting effectively in those team fights? Have they been getting nuked? Or am I closer to a turret? If I take out this one wave, am I going to be able to get this turret to 50% or take down completely? Those are questions you have to ask yourself really quickly, make a decision, and then just hope it was the right one. And sometimes they're not going to be the right one. And the more of those mistakes you make, the more you're going to recognize when it is the right time to join the team and when it's the right time to stay in the lane and keep pushing. And that's going to time management again, where it's important with the jungler. It's most important with the jungler, especially in the early game. But it's important for every champion once the laning phase ends, making the most of your time. And treat it like gold. It's precious. It's valuable. I mean, you even think about it. Half the reason you rage in these games is because people are wasting your fucking time. Like, you join a queue, someone dodges, you're in queue for 10 minutes, picking, banning champions, you get into the game, someone completely and totally wildly fails their lane, and then wanders the map, and gets caught over and over again, and never say it's the support, and they never ward, and they're just those people, they're taking time out of your life. Them completely and totally on their own are wasting 45 minutes of your fucking day. By not listening, by not playing with the team, by, you know, etc., etc., etc. And that's just frustrating. So, I mean, like, time as a resource in the game you should treat just as valuable as, you know, that 45 minutes that you're freaking out over for this guy wasting it. And for me, that's, I mean, I know for me that's definitely true. That's a part of it. I got a little caught here. I was trying to zone. I had a ward. Is that our ward? It's not our ward. I didn't know there. I didn't want to move much beyond this point with our team pushing mid here, just because I don't know what's in this jungle, and I couldn't see their entire team. I ended up getting away, but I got caught for sure. If I was weaker, I would have died. But I never much gold. This is a 4. It probably doesn't matter being so bad. I basically just glazed over that team fight, so we're gonna watch it one more time. It starts with Udyr deciding to initiate. Cat gets completely caught, and I thought it was a 4-on-5. I don't know why he chose to fight this here, because we had the option to not. It almost looks like he just wanted to walk back in and hit Morgana one more time and then initiate and away with most of it. Then again, I mean, having 2 veins that are fed is kind of not fair. I didn't use I just focused the one person with her, and then I'm a noob, so Or maybe I was dead already, to be fair. I could have been dead. I can't control my Vayne clone when I'm dead. For team fights with Yorick, it's not always easy or apparent what you're supposed to be doing. I find I just try to drop my abilities on the closest squishy that I can get to, and if I can't, then I'll just drop my combo on whatever I'm nearest. I try to stick more on their ADC than ours, just for the fact that I don't really have any CC to help her out much. If it's a squishy assassin type that's jumping on her, that's something I can help with. If it's like a Mundo or Rengar, I can kill. Mundo, I can't really stop him. I can slow him down a little bit and do a little bit of damage, but in that case, like, you got to make the decision as to where you're going to be doing or having the most effect. Like, me drilling all of my damage the entire fight into Shyvana, for example, is, in terms of math, a massive waste of money. Just the simple fact that that same damage is going to be doing roughly double on any squishy champion that hasn't been building armor. Plus, they only have a quarter or a third of the health bar, which is not insignificant to say the least. I mean, you break the math down even more, and it's like the percentage of damage you're doing to a tank compared to the percentage of damage you're doing to a squish. It's like 5 to 1. So it goes to making the most of your money and making the most of your time. Not as much time, but more your money. Like, it is time, but it's such a minute incremental amount in that team fight. It's hard to quantify. There's not much more to be seen here. I make another initiation, we win a team fight, we kill the Nexus, the game ends. Rengar keeps wandering the map and farming. Like, their team should be sticking together a lot more right now, that's for sure. There are advantages to be had if they were wandering the map as 5, with a couple wards and a sweeper, and clearing spots, because our team isn't wandering the map effectively. Like, that was one thing I did want to mention that I'm glad I remembered, is we didn't win this game so much for fighting smart in mid to late, as we had such a massive gold advantage that the mistakes that we made weren't apparent. And that is going to be a very common scenario. You'll see happening. Like, this was a huge mistake on our team's part, and we shouldn't really get out with many kills, but because Cat's doing so much damage and Vayne's doing so much damage, it just they can't kill anybody. It doesn't matter. Or was it a 3-on-4 that they initiated? I think no, it was a 4-on-4. Shiv's missing and I'm missing. So this is the point in the game where I wanted to discuss about decision making as to where you are in the lane at the time. Where was I? So remember my thought process here. Because I saw this fight kick off in the bottom jungle. I went to stop Shyvana from pushing this lane and catch this wave, and she makes a smart move of going back immediately and then rejoining her team. So I see this fight kick off, and I'm so far away from it, and my teleport's down, that I feel that it makes more sense. At first, I feel like that it's going to keep going, and I can run and jump. But then I change my mind and I run back top. Thinking that I can get this turret while these guys are pressuring mid. And that really depends on how long this fight is going to last, and I have no idea. It depends on how these guys play it. But I'm pretty sure they play a little over aggressively. And I did decide in the, if Vayne didn't chase the dragon. Vayne does heroin. If Vayne didn't chase the dragon there, then that wouldn't have turned out so bad. They could have just backed off. I would have kept pressuring. They may have even had to rotate top to deal with me and these guys. No, they wouldn't have been able to go back in. But and then I figure they're chasing mid. I can pressure this. Leona's there by herself, and I'm completely wrong. Rengar comes to join her, and I'm so far away from. I mean, that's a long run. That I just figure I'll try and kill Rengar. I don't think I'm going to, but it's better than running into nothing. Okay, and that was pretty much the game. I think there's one weird teleport.
Aced.
Oh, too soon. One more team fight to watch. 30 seconds. This is a 5-on-4 that I don't want to fight, but someone starts the fight, so joining in at this point is better than running. Just clone the Bane, go ham, hope for the best. How much more you can do. I mean, it does kind of work out with Udyr getting this turret anyways. Because Rengar can't stop, as Udyr demonstrates. Oh, I tried to save Morgana, and it almost works out. I was really disappointed that she died, because I flashed to save her. Flash to save her, shovel the stupid fish right in his stupid face as he's running in for the kill, and then she dies. So disappointing. And that's good. There's some spawning and rezzing and shenanigans, but whatever. Nothing interesting that happens. So that was Yorick in top lane. Yeah, not much more to say. You guys have any questions? Leave them in the YouTube comments or the Reddit link that I'll throw up. And until next time. Oh, I thought of a good sign off, but I forgot it. Keep fit and have fun. It's classic. See you guys.